Hello everybody, Bitstream here, bringing you another cryptocurrency based video. I hope this video finds you relatively well today. And in today's video, I want to be talking to you about what you see on the screen. This is Profit Trailer. So this is a automatic cryptocurrency trading bot or trading script, however you want to look at it. And basically, what it does is it trades your own cryptocurrency in your exchange account for you based on the APIs that your exchange provides for you. It does use one or two or three different exchanges. It uses Poloniex, Binance, and Bittrex, I believe, are the three. And provided that you have an account with one of those three at least, you can use this bot to automatically trade cryptocurrencies based on how you want it to trade. And I wanted to get into a little bit of a background as to why I decided to go this route. So if you've been following my channel, or if you haven't, you know that I got into cryptocurrencies around December when everything was at the highs. And at the time, I knew that it was going to fall because the trajectory that it was on at that time was just absolutely unsustainable, clearly. But I didn't want to just directly invest and buy and hold Bitcoin because I knew that a lot of my value was going to be gone that way. So I wanted to investigate other ways to try to make an income or some sort of longer term investment that was going to bring more value to the table for me. So I started looking into mining and lending platforms. And of course, at the time, things like BitConnect were very hot at the time. So that led a lot of people to BitConnect, including myself. But I was very dubious about BitConnect. If you look at my videos, you can kind of see that, especially one of my first videos, I was very skeptical of what BitConnect had to offer. But, I was new and I was willing to try a little bit. I'd been working out for a lot of people for a long time. And their big claim to fame was the trading bot that they claimed that they had. And, there's a lot of discussion whether they actually had one or not. So I looked it up. And, I looked up the feasibility of trading bots in the cryptocurrency space, and I actually ran across Profit Trailer and Gunbot and a few other bots at the time. So I decided to go ahead and take a chance on BitConnect because it was feasible what they were doing based on what I had researched, until I could, build up the capital or be in a position to run my own trading bot. So that's what I did. I made those investments and, had mixed results, obviously, with BitConnect going out of business or whatever, stopping their lending platform, which kind of caused the cascade effect through the lending platform space, if you ask me. So it kind of hurt there. And then the larger cryptocurrency market fell down as I expected. And that also hurt mining from a profitability standpoint. One thing I wasn't really fully educated on the time with mining is the effect of the mining difficulty. So at the time I got into mining, it was extremely profitable to mine Bitcoin, to where you could turn a positive profitability from in terms of receiving your initial investment back in like 2 months. Well, it was working out until the price started to retrace, which I was fine with, but the difficulty also compounded the diminishing of the returns. So right now, and what I made a decision a few weeks back, and I think I filmed that as well, is to just reinvest all of my any mining profits back into increasing hashing power, so that when the profitability in Bitcoin does return, hopefully I'll have a fair amount of hash power to be mining Bitcoin at that time. So I'd rather collect mining power at this time than collect Bitcoin from an investment standpoint. So I'll be ready for when the profitability in Bitcoin does return. Now, the good thing about the fall in the value of Bitcoin is that it's going to shake out a lot of miners because it's not profitable to mine Bitcoin right now. And I've even seen videos of people shutting off their mining equipment and everything because electricity costs are just eating up their profits and everything like that. And it just doesn't make sense, which is going to lead to hopefully a drop in difficulty, which will hopefully balance the equation out so that mining, at least for my particular contract, maintains some sort of reasonable building of my hashing power. But this video isn't about mining. This is about Profit Trailer and bots. Now, I want to prep you up front. This is probably going to be a longer video. I don't really feel like editing it and chopping it up and all of that kind of stuff because it takes extra time. I've already been away from YouTube for probably about 2 weeks at this point while I've been trying to research getting this software together and what to do with it and how to make it do what I want it to do. So just prepare yourself for a pretty long video on this one. I'm going to try to keep it as introductory as I can because this particular software can get very, very involved. And I know when I first saw it and took a real close look at it, I didn't know what in the world I was looking at, and it does require a little bit of technical expertise to get going. It's not something that you can kind of just take off the shelf and plug and play and download it and run it. You need to have a little bit of technical bona fides going to kind of get it doing what it needs to do. So what I'm going to do, first thing I want to talk about the overall market, the space that we find ourselves in right now, which is not very pretty if you're really buried into the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency right now. If you haven't lifted your head out of this world, you're probably stressing all the way out right now. This isn't my first crash in any type of market. I actually got into trading altogether back in 2007, 2008 during the stock market crash. And that was my first experience with something like this. So I could tell you that if that is you and you're sweating bullets right now and you invested back when it was, $18,000 and $20,000 and you're seeing your values kind of slashed in half and everything like that. Number one, remember that you don't lose until you sell. Okay. So if you cash out your Bitcoin right now and exchange it for dollars and then you go away, then you've lost. Okay. If you just hold on to your Bitcoin, you haven't lost anything. Now there's a risk in that because just like any other investment, it could keep falling and never retreat, which is probably your fear. But I believe that is less likely than the alternative, which is it can go up. And if history is to believe, then history doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen again. But this isn't the first crash of this magnitude in Bitcoin. You had one in 2011, you've had one in 2012, 2014, 2016. They had a crash at the beginning of the year. So it doesn't feel like it and it doesn't feel good, but it's not the first time that this has happened. And it's probably not going to be the last. And that's why everybody warned you about the volatility of Bitcoin. They warn you that, it's super, super volatile. This is probably the most volatile market that I've ever seen outside of options. But, it is what it is. And you have to either be mentally prepared for it or you have to invest properly to hedge for that volatility. So, and that means not putting in your life savings, putting in just a small slice that you are prepared to say bye-bye to and never see again. That's to me, that's how you should approach Bitcoin, so that when something like this happens, you can shut off the TV, you can shut off YouTube, you can shut off the news and everything like that and go on about your life and forget about it until it comes back. So a little bit about, just my experience of what happened in 2008. The same kind of thing. Everybody's, flying high on the markets, getting in, everybody's investing and everybody's happy, and then it crashes. And it didn't feel good. And then the doom and gloom news comes in and makes you feel even worse. And you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach. Well, that lasted for a couple of months, probably maybe even 2 years, I think, something like that, before it really you started to feel good about the market again. Okay. And that, to me, when it comes to Bitcoin, is something that you have to keep in mind when it comes to the volatility, because Bitcoin does not have a safety net. It doesn't have rules. It doesn't have regulations. There's a lot of regulations in the stock market because of previous crashes that are designed to stabilize it, that are designed to hedge against the emotions and the knee-jerk reactions of people and the herd mentality of people. Well, cryptocurrency doesn't have any of that. It has no safety nets. It can go down to a fraction of a penny and then go all the way back up to 50,000 because there's no counterbalance. That, if the herd decides to sell Bitcoin, there's nothing that's going to stop it. It's nothing that's going to stop unzipping it until there's more people out there that are willing to hold and buy than there are willing to run and sell and run to safety. So that leads to massive market swings. And you kind of have to understand the psychology of people and just think about, if you're invested in Bitcoin right now, what do you feel like doing? What are your emotions telling you to do? Your emotions are telling you to salvage what you can and run away. When in fact, a shrewd investor will look at the use case and the value of the underlying asset and see that if it has a use case and it has value that the mass market isn't seeing right now, then it's on a fire sale. It's on an absolute fire sale. Just imagine if you went to the grocery store today and the grocery store is having a massive 20% off sale for who knows how long until they run out of stock, right? And you don't know when they're going to run out of stock. But right now you see full shelves. They're trying to get rid of inventory. They're trying to get rid of everything for right now. So the way to kind of look at it is, if you're shopping at the most expensive grocery store in town and they have a 20% off sale, it may not be the biggest, crowd there because their prices were already super inflated like Bitcoin was. Bitcoin was at $20,000. So the mass market may not be seeing, a $6,000 and a $7,000 Bitcoin as a massive sale. You got to understand also, a lot of people already bought their Bitcoin for way cheaper than that a while ago. So they may not be seeing this as a big enough sale to bring in the shrewd people, to bring in the buyers, right? Now, when that tipping point occurs, then you're going to see some stabilization, because you're going to see the green shoots. You're going to see the people, after the sellers, finish selling and escaping, then you'll see the people sliding on back. And a lot of times that happens with a catalyst. And there's a catalyst that's kind of starting right now that a lot of people haven't really heard of with Bitcoin, and that is the Lightning Network upgrade. So you've got that upgrade coming, which is built to make the Bitcoin everyday usable. because of the transaction speed, which is the number one complaint with Bitcoin, is the transaction speed. So that's already underway. And that could be a positive catalyst that can get some news and get some pickup and get people back into buying Bitcoin at these low prices. And that could change everything around, because then if the herd gets wind, oh, Bitcoin's back, Bitcoin is great, Bitcoin, is going to 20,000 again or whatever, then people are going to start buying, and it's just going to be a snowball effect, just like this is a snowball effect down. Like I said, people are really emotional when it comes to market and comes to their money, including me. I'm not, exempt from that. I'm just more experienced, but I still feel it, And another example I want to give is my home. So I bought a house back in 2008, when everything was crashing and burning. Everybody was questioning life. Scams were all over the place, the mortgage bubble, the housing bubble, this and that. And I was listening to this other guy's video talking about this very subject about buying when everybody else is scared, right? And I can tell you from firsthand experience, that's how I got into this house that I'm in right now. I bought this house at a fire sale, like a steal, back in 2008, because the builder was going out of business. The housing bubble was just bursting all over the place. Nobody was buying. Everybody was selling. Everybody was trying to get out of their house. There were just no buyers. There was no credit. The banks froze, all of the lending and everything like that. And this same house, this is one of the first houses that I looked at when I came to the area that I'm in, and I passed on it, I should say, because it was too expensive. I was like, it's a nice house, but I'm not paying that much for that. And this is back in 2007. And then the bubble burst, and then 2008 came, and I was new to the area, and I didn't even recognize the house. I didn't even recognize the fact that I looked at this house before, but I was like, ooh, that's a nice house, and that price is a steal, because it had dropped probably 25, maybe 30% in price from when I saw it. So I got this house for a steal. My next door neighbor paid, I think, $80,000 more for his house than I did. And that's at least 40% more than what I paid for my house. And there's houses in the neighborhood that are just, people pay way more than I paid for this house. And I think just now, my next door neighbor, as far as home values go, I think he's now just breaking even as far as the value of his house. And then my other next door neighbor, he's one of my best friends. I talked him into buying the house next to mine because it was just a crazy steal. He'd be dumb not to, right, at that time. And I didn't know that was the market bottom. You can't call a bottom. But all I know is it had value. It had intrinsic value. The house had value. Even if it continued to drop, there was a use case for that property that I could rely on that would help me get through the down market, that would help me mentally be okay that I'm catching a falling knife. And the value of the house actually did continue to drop even after I bought it, but I didn't care because I'm living in this nice house. I got it for a steal, relatively speaking. Didn't even know that I even looked at the house before, but now, it's I'm living in it, and I'm okay with the continued value drop because I'm looking long term. I know in the long term, this house is going to be valuable. one day the selling is going to end because there's eventually they're going to run out of sellers. People still need a place to live. People still need houses to live in. A lot of the fundamental things had not gone away. In my opinion, the housing market had gone way too far in one direction. Now the pendulum is swung way too far in the other direction. So I know I was going to be okay someday. And now I'm sitting in that situation right now where it's okay. I could sell my house today for a massive profit, just like my next door neighbor just did that moved in when I moved in. He got a heck of a deal. People were falling all over themselves to bid on his house. And he got he got a big check, and I'm going to wait out more because they're still developing in the area and all of that. But, the area has changed. And I say all that to say, what a difference a few years makes when you're talking about investing in something with value. So you have to kind of get your head out of the here and now when you're talking about investing. When you're investing, you're not investing for tomorrow. In these circumstances, I understand income needs and everything like that. But when you're talking about investing, you're not investing for tomorrow. You're not investing for next week. You have to look out years in the future. Okay. And that's what I talk about, looking at the fundamental value of what you're investing in. In my case, when I'm talking about this house, it was, what is the future value of this house going to look like when the situation is different? When they start building more things around it, when the use case becomes better for this house, when they build a new grocery store, when they build a new highway, which they did right around the street, when they build this, when this new thing comes out. Same thing for Bitcoin. It's an asset. What is the use case for Bitcoin and these altcoins and these cryptocurrencies? What does the future hold for these cryptocurrencies? What are they building around it? What infrastructure is rising around these coins, around this industry? Okay, so if you can look into those things and you can understand what is the point of Bitcoin, why does it even exist? Why does it have value? Why do people buy into it in the first place? Then you will be more comfortable holding it for the long term and investing properly because you will have conviction in it. And then when a drop like this happens, a 60 and 70% drop in the value of that particular coin, your mindset will shift from being fearful and being scared and having that pit in your stomach to, ooh, that looks like a good sale. That looks like it's cheap. I want to buy some more. I want to invest even more heavily because this doesn't happen every day. Just like when you go to that grocery store and you see everything is on sale for 60 and 70% off, you want to buy it because you see the utility and you see the underlying value of the product. Same thing with Bitcoin. Just because you already have some of it, it's not going to make you mad that it is dropped. It's going to make you happy that it's dropped because you can get some more of it if you're in a position to. And that's why you don't go so heavy on it in the first place, so that you can always be in a position to buy more when it drops. Okay, so I just wanted to get that out of the way and speak to this market drop and this market crash that we're having right now. No, it doesn't feel good if you own it, but it should make you very happy if you didn't invest very heavily into it in the first place, like everybody warned you not to. Now you can buy some more at fire sale prices. And that's even going to be relevant when I talk about Profit Trailer here. Because Profit Trailer, when you buy the bot, it's priced in Bitcoin, and I got it on a fire sale because I bought it in Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is cheap right now. So where some people pay $600 and $700 for this, I paid half that, maybe less, because I bought it in Bitcoin. And hopefully I can make another purchase of an add-on to this in Bitcoin, but I think Bitcoin is going to fall further. I'm looking for like the $5,000 range right now. But I just want people to get the right mindset. And what helps me as well, and I do this trick with the stock market, because I invest in the stock market as well, if you didn't know, is when you're fully invested, when you have gorged yourself enough on that particular investment and it's going into a bear market and you aren't in a position to buy more, go away. Go away. Don't look at it. Don't look at the news. Don't look at articles. Don't look at YouTube videos. Don't study up more on it. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but all you're doing is killing yourself. You're either killing yourself if you have the correct mindset, which means that you're wanting to buy more and you can't. You're killing yourself, so don't even bother. Or you're killing yourself because you're heavily invested and you're seeing your values drop and there's nothing that you should be doing about it. The only thing that you can do is sell, and that's not what you should be doing when it's dropping. You should be selling when it's on highs and not on lows. And that is rule number A101.11101. Buy low, sell high. Let me say it again. Buy low, sell high. When in doubt, that is what you come back to. When you're scared, when you're happy, no matter what your emotional state is, you buy low and you sell high. That will keep you in a proper place in any type of investment. Okay? It helped me when I'm trading options, when I don't know what in the world, it's topsy-turvy and you're dealing with puts and you're selling puts and you're buying spreads and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know what to buy and what to sell to get the right kind of profit that I'm looking for. In my head, I always recite buy low and sell high. Is this low? Is this high? If it's low, I'm trying to buy. If it's high, I'm trying to sell. Okay? So even though I feel the market drop, I see these red numbers all over the place, I know that this is low. The whole world's running scared. The whole cryptocurrency space is running scared right now. That means it's low. This is not the time to sell. Not the time to sell. That's why you have to divorce yourself from any investment that you make into this cryptocurrency space and consider it gone. Because if you don't consider it gone and you're married to the investment, you're going to want to save it. You're going to want to be Superman and save what's left. No. This is the time that you buy, not sell. If you're thinking about selling, that's the wrong action to take. Okay? It's too late to sell or too early to sell. One or the other. It's not the right time. It's either too late or too early. Now you got to wait it out. This is the time to buy. This is the time to put, you find a couple pennies on the street, pennies in your, between your couch or something like that. This is the time you buy some Bitcoin and you sit on it. And then you go away and you do something else. You learn how to knit, learn how to cook. That's what I've been doing is I've been learning how to cook a little bit. I know how to cook, but I've been cooking some other stuff. But go away, turn the screen off. Look, these people, including, I don't exclude myself into this category, but media figures, article writers, news figures, things of that nature, they don't get paid to give you good advice. They get paid to sell advertising. That is their job. That is how they feed their families. So in order to get paid from advertising, you have to get eyeballs on your article or on your video or on your news channel or whatever it is. And it's a very competitive space. And I watch a lot of YouTube videos, so I see this all the time. People are going to write the most eye-grabbing, salacious titles that they can to grab your attention. And usually the easiest and laziest way to grab your attention is by making you fearful, So you're going to see a lot of the end of cryptocurrency, the end of Bitcoin. Bitcoin bubble popped, Bitcoin destroyed, or whatever. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. If it bleeds, it leads, right? It's a race to the bottom when you're looking at these articles, especially people that aren't directly invested in Bitcoin or in the cryptocurrency space, like the CNBCs of the world. They can't wait to dance on the grave of Bitcoin because they can sell more articles that way. It's eye catching, it's eye grabbing. So you have to steel yourself from and inoculate yourself from these articles. And that's why I say just go away, because they're always going to oversell it. They're always going to make it larger and more potent than what it actually is, because they're trying to sell a product, which is their article and the advertising that comes along with it. I try my best to stay away from that. But look, I'm making videos too, okay? But I'm just telling you, stay away from it. If you're caught, if you're already invested and you're in a bad position to buy more, then go away for now. Go away for a couple of months. Do something else. Go look at the stock market. The stock market crashed. Well, not crashed, but the stock market is down like 1,000 points today. That's another sale to look at. Maybe there's some repositioning you can do in the stock markets. If not, go do something else. Don't look at it unless you're in a position to buy more, to invest more. Go away. You'll be happier for it. Anyway, on to Profit Trailer. Finally, okay. So what you're looking at here is this is the interface, the visual interface for the bot, where you see what the bot is doing for the most part, how it's trending and all that good stuff. Where should I start? Let me start up here. Okay, so you got this right here is a persistent menu that you can see most of the time. Now, not all functions work on all exchanges. Oh, let me tell you the pricing real quick. So the pricing for the bot is 0.03 Bitcoin. And there's an add-on that most people advocate for, which is called Profit Trailer Feeder, which is 0.02 Bitcoin. So I'm going to just go ahead and say in your head, set aside 0.05 Bitcoin. I don't have Profit Trailer Feeder yet. I'm getting there. I wanted to understand the Profit Trailer first before I moved into the other side. But it's 0.3 Bitcoin, which is like, I don't know, $200 at this point, something like that. But so you can get it for relatively dirt cheap right now, if you want. So this right here, what you're looking at on this top part is my available balance. So this is how much Bitcoin that I have sitting in the exchange that is not invested in anything else right now. This is just sitting there in Bitcoin. This figure right here, and you can hover over these most of the time to kind of tell what these are. So total current value, this is my Bitcoin plus my altcoins that the bot has bought for the time being, I think. And then total pending value, I believe this is the price of my Bitcoin plus what I bought my altcoins for. I'm still not fully aware of the difference between these two. I do see the two numbers are different, so I'm not sure. It doesn't always line up in my head, so I'm still working on what that is. These numbers don't work for me right now at the top for whatever reason, but this is supposed to be last week's profit, yesterday's profit, and today's profit. This right here is the current trend of the last 24 hours of the top 20. This one's saying Bitcoin, trend of BTC, Bitcoin. Okay. In the last 24 hours, this is the Bitcoin price, and this is how much Bitcoin is down. I think this is supposed to be altcoins and not Bitcoin. Maybe we'll look into that. Whatever. Actually, it's Bitcoin. Whatever. Anyway, I don't really look at that much. That's just what it means. And again, this is the same as that. This is my value in US dollars of the amount of Bitcoin sitting on the exchange unused right now. So I can go on the exchange and pull out this Bitcoin right now if I wanted to. I could pull out anything if I wanted to. Honestly, nothing is stopping you from doing that, but this is what is currently sitting in Bitcoin. This is, again, my total value of all of my coins. One of these is how the worth of my Bitcoin plus what I bought my altcoins for, the bot bought it for, and this is what I could sell it for right now. I don't know which one is which. I think this is what I could sell it for if I sold everything right now and turned it into Bitcoin. And I think this is my total purchased price. So like this is higher than this right now because right now my coins are trading at a loss because the market is down. But one of these is one and the other. So they don't, to me, they don't do a very good a job explaining the difference, but it's not really that big a deal. Price of Bitcoin in the last 24 hours. Actually, let me make sure. Percent trend of 50 top BTC coins from your market the last 24 hours. So I think this is the top 50 altcoins and not just Bitcoin. This right here is obviously the price of Bitcoin. And again, I believe that is the last 24 hours, down 16, almost 17. Yeah, Bitcoin trend the last 24 hours. And then this is the trend of the top 20 altcoins in US dollar. Yeah. So this is your altcoin trend. This is your Bitcoin trend. And this is the trend of the altcoins for the last 24 hours. This is the top 20 altcoins in the last 24 hours. So you can kind of see it versus Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is doing a little bit better than the altcoins right now by about 2% or so. And this is the trend of the altcoins the last 7 days. So this is more like the entire market trend the last week. So you can kind of get an idea of what that's looking like. This right here is your profit that you made last week. I'm not sure what they consider last week. I started this bot like, I don't know, a week ago. And this is reset a couple of times as I was working through some kinks. But I'm not sure what they consider last week. But I actually made this like 2 days ago. Something like that. And then this is your profit from yesterday. So you can see what you made yesterday. And this is your profit for today. It shows it in Bitcoin. Now, when you start your bot, you're not going to see this percent gain, I believe, there. This is an added script that I wanted to add, but you can definitely do that if you want to. I can go into that later. And then this is information on the bot. So this is has to do with your pending orders. If you set your settings to allow for pending orders, you can see that information there, how long your stuff has been pending. This right here is, I forgot what that is. This is do you have your configuration button on? So this is the configuration button, so you can change the settings straight from the interface. SOM is sell only mode. So you can configure a bot to basically not do any buys if Bitcoin behaves a certain way. Mine is true because it's on right now because Bitcoin price is dropping too fast for my comfort level. And I don't want to be buying at that particular point because it's dropping too fast. You can set that how you like in your settings. Sell only mode override. I'm not familiar with what that does. I think that has to do with dollar cost averaging, which we'll get into later. And then this is your version and the exchange that you're trading on. I'm currently using Binance. Bittrex is not allowing any new accounts right now, and Poloniex trades less pairs. So Binance for me is the best alternative right now. this right here, what is it? Okay, so this right here, I'm gonna have to explain what the pairs log is in the different logs. But if you just made a trade, your trade will show up in this information right here. Okay, so this pairs log is going to show you a regular trade. Okay, so as soon as you trade it, it'll show up right here in some fashion. You can see the current value of it, how much you bought it for, and the difference between the two. And the color coding is kind of leading me to believe, so this is how much the current value of all your account is, and this is the bought value of your account, so how much you bought your stuff for. Okay. The DCA log, this DCA stands for dollar cost averaging. This is a technique used to escape bad trades, essentially, or what they call in the profit trailer verse bags. Okay, so if your coin falls a certain percentage, you can buy more of it, therefore meaning the coin doesn't have to work as hard to get up to get you into profitability. So if you buy a coin at, I don't know, $10 and it drops to $5, you'll buy more of that coin, so it doesn't have to go above $10 for you to make a profit. Now you only have to get to like $8, something like that. Pending log, again, I haven't really messed with the pending, but I think this is if you set your bot to allow for pending orders. And then sales. So this is how much you bought your coins for in Bitcoin total. So you can see 0.3. This is the volume of buys that I've done since the last reset I did with the bot. This is the volume of sales in Bitcoin that I've done, and then the difference between all of that. So you can see right there what that difference is. I could tell you what I use the most definitely is the price of Bitcoin and the market trends, and then this area right here, and then this area right here as well. So I'll look at this area, and then this middle area the most. Okay. This right here, just notifications. So heartbeat is just saying that it is connected and working properly. So when you see heartbeat, that's a good thing. And each area has its own heartbeat because it has its own settings. So that's what you're seeing right there. All right. So let's go to these areas over here. Monitoring, that is this home screen that you see right here. With the newer versions of Profit Trailer, you can stop the bot by clicking this button. It'll go ahead and stop any processes, and then you can get to profittrailer.com and the wiki for Profit Trailer, so you can learn what you're doing right here. So that's very, very helpful. Possible buy log. So there's nothing here right now, but what would happen if you once you turn the bot on, it's going to be hunting the exchange for possible candidates to make a trade, and it will list those candidates right here. You'll see a list and the number of how many trades kind of meet your criteria, and you'll be able to display or tell the bot what your criteria is for possible candidates for purchases. In my case, I excluded a lot of coins. Binance has like 100 or so pairs possible to trade, and I excluded a lot of them. I think right now I only look at about 22 or 23 different pairs, different coins to trade, and that's based on my criteria. And we'll get into what those criteria are when we get into the settings. But you can see what the titles are. It's going to tell you what coin pair it is. So if it's like Ethereum, if it's Pivx or whatever, you'll see that displayed in this column. What the coin has done in the last 24 hours versus Bitcoin, how it's changed versus Bitcoin is what this column is. the buy strategy that you're using. So this is, you set this in your settings. You can set a few different types of strategies to enter your trade, and it'll tell you what strategy that the bot is looking at right here. This should be the same for every coin. The current price of the coin, the volume in Bitcoin, how many Bitcoins that coin has in its order book. This is an important stat, so we'll go over that when we get into settings. The current BB Bollinger Band. So Bollinger Band is an indicator that a lot of traders use. I don't know why they have it static here, because it's not the only indicator, but they do. But that's what that means. So this kind of tells you where it's trading within its current range, if it's, you know, low or high within its current range of trading or channel. And then your Bollinger Band trigger. So this is when it reaches a certain point on your Bollinger Bands. If you're using that strategy, this is where the bot is looking to start trailing the particular coin to buy it. So if you have it set to trail, then it will start trailing at this point. If you have trailing off, then this is the point at which it will buy that particular coin. And this is the current value of your trade, or not your trade, the current value of the coin listed in Bitcoin, and the buy value. So this is the value, the current value that the bot is kind of looking to buy it at based on the current settings and trailing. So it's easier to look at when there's pairs in here right now. I could probably turn that on, but I don't want to mess with it right now. Pairs log. So after your bot makes a purchase, you're going to see the pairs listed here that it has purchased. Okay. So this is when, the date and time that it made the purchase. So you can kind of go back and, you know, look at different stuff on that. What coin it purchased, how it's performed in the last 24 hours, the strategy to sell. So this is your sales strategy, when you want to exit the coin, how you want to exit that particular trade. The current price of the coin, the price that you bought it at, the percent profit that you're in, positive or negative. Trigger, I think that's the sell trigger, which is the point where the bot is going to start looking to sell it. I believe that's what that is, but don't quote me on that one. The volume of the coin, total amount that you have invested in that coin, the current value in Bitcoin of that coin, and how much you bought it for in Bitcoin, listed right here. And then the estimated value in dollars. So that's what that is. It's kind of boring right now because I don't have any pairs in there, but DCA log is going to look fun. It's going to look really red, so prepare yourself. Boom. It's not so bad. All right, so this one's a little bit more fun. So DCA, again, stands for dollar cost averaging. So this is, in my opinion, what makes the bot very powerful. So we'll go through this right here first, and then we'll talk about dollar cost averaging. So again, date. So you can see this is when this coin was purchased and the time that it was purchased. This is my particular time zone, and it tells you how many days ago it was purchased. So that's very helpful. The particular coin. So this is Ethereum. The change in 24 hours. This is your purchase strategy for your DCA, your dollar cost averaging. So there's a different purchase strategy for dollar cost averaging than your standard purchase strategy. Your buy trigger. So again, I believe this is when it's looking to buy more of it, and it's either going to buy when it hits this trigger, or it's going to start trailing when it hits this trigger. So you can see when it says true trailing in green, that means it's looking to buy because it's tripped this trigger right here. So I have mine set to trail down as it's falling and only buy it when it starts to go back up a little bit. This is your trigger strategy right here. So the way I view this column, this negative 3.5%, that is the trigger of when it's going to start looking to buy some more. I'm still not 100% comfortable with my explanation of this, but I think that's what it's looking at. The sell strategy, this is the strategy of how you plan to exit the coin. Your current price, average price. So the top line is the current price of the coin in Bitcoin, and your average price, once you buy more of it, you're going to have an average price. It's not going to be the same as your initial purchase. It's going to take the first purchase and then the latest purchase and average that price to get you an average bought cost. So when you're looking at the chart, you break even at this particular number on your purchase. Okay, so if I looked at a chart of Ethereum right now and I look for this number, that would be the number where I break even if Ethereum were to rise to that figure. Okay, and right now I'm 3.73% away from that number right now. The sell trigger, so I'm looking for a profit of at least 0.8%, or that once it reaches a profit level of 0.8%, it's going to start looking to sell. So I don't have it set to sell right at that number. I have it set to start looking to sell at that number. Okay. And the volume of the coin, this is how many Bitcoins are in the order book of that particular coin right now. And the total amount that I own, this is how much of that particular coin that I own. The value and the cost, that's what these numbers are right here. And the estimated value in dollars. So you can see on Ethereum, I own about $17 worth at the current values, and I'm down about 69 cents on that particular pair. All right. And then down here, you can see the total value of everything that's in this particular section, the DCA section right here. The total cost, how much it costs to get into these particular pairs, and then the difference. So that's very helpful right there. So one last thing you can see right here, I do have one DCA. I've got Neo that DCA'd. So what happened here is it triggered, it got into a trade for Neo, and then Neo continued to retreat. And once it retreated to a certain level, a level that I set, the bot bought twice as much, twice as much of Neo as what it purchased the first time. So if I had $20 in Neo, and then it hit my trigger, it's gonna buy $20 more. And that's dollar cost averaging through the Anderson dollar cost averaging strategy. Okay, so what that does is it cuts the percentage that I need Neo to rise by in order to gain a profit. So it doesn't have to get back to my original price. It just has to get to an average price between the two purchases. And I believe it's 50% between my first price and my latest price, something like that. And then I'm out. And it works beautifully, actually. So when it's working. So let's go. I'm going to skip the pending log because I don't use that. I'm going to go to the sales log. Okay. All right. So these are previous sales. So obviously you got your date, you got what coin it was, the strategy that you used to get out of it, how much you bought it at. Now this 3 in parentheses is how many times the dollar cost averaged. Okay. So this particular pair dollar cost averaged 3 times before it got out. This is the price that it sold at. This is the percent profit. I'm not fully comfortable with what trigger means, but I think this is where the sale was triggered. So it got up to like 1.44%, and then it backed off down to here, and that's when the bot decided to sell it. Not sure if that's how, 100% sure that's how it works, but that's what it kind of looks like. And profit in BTC So this is how many Bitcoins I won off of that particular trade, and the amount in dollars. This is going to change with the price of Bitcoin, obviously. And then the amount that was sold, the cost of my buy, and then the sold value. All right. So you can see that there's plenty of trades down here, and then it kind of sums it all up right here. So you can see how much all of that totals up to be. And I've got a few pages of trades. And you can see that they're all winning trades. This is kind of deceptive because you can set the bot to only sell when it's a winning trade. The other side of that is that you could be stuck in trades for a while until the coins go back up. So you can see like this particular trade I've been in for 2 days, and it has not gone back up, where these trades I've been in for a day and it still hasn't gone back up. So it's kind of deceiving in that way, but this is kind of also why I gave that little speech at the beginning of the video about having conviction in the coins. And that's also why I'm trading the particular coins that I'm trading. All of the coins that I allow the bot to trade, I did research on. I've looked up how they trade. I've looked up whether they are, pump and dump coins. I looked at are they coins that I believe in some fashion. So I only allow to trade those coins which I at least somewhat believe in, or believe that are going to be okay in the long run, because you can get stuck in these coins. And if you don't know the coin, if you don't believe in the coin, if it's a coin that you've never heard of or something like that, you're going to be tempted to sell it. So for me, I'm okay holding Ethereum, for a couple of days or weeks or whatever. I'm totally fine with that. Totally fine with holding Neo. I forgot what this coin is, VN BTC, but when I looked at it, totally fine with it. Totally fine with the coin pairs that I trade. So I'm okay with holding these for the long run. Just like I'm okay with living in my house until the market turns around. I'm okay with living in these coins until the market turns around. Now that will put a damper on my profitability, because the bot is not trading, because I'm only set it to trade 3 pairs, because I only have the balance to support 3 pairs of trading, in my opinion, right now. But I'm okay with holding these coins if I get stuck. Now, that is a lesson that I learned when I set up the bot, because the bot, when I got into it, it was just trading the entire available market, and it had a tendency to trade these coins that I never heard of. So I exited a lot of those trades because, number one, it was holding me up from trading, and number two, I didn't know or believe in those coins that I got stuck in the last time it DCA'd for a while. And I also didn't have my DCA settings optimized to the way that I want and everything like that. So, last thing, dust log. So this right here will show you coins that the position is too small to be traded on the particular exchange, because exchanges have trading minimums. For example, Binance, I believe, is 0.4 zeros and then a 2, if I remember correctly. Bitcoin that you can trade with. So if the value of the coin doesn't reach that, then you can't trade it. It's just kind of stuck, and you got to do something else with it, or you got to buy some more of that coin and then trade it out, or wait for the bot to do it. So that's what's going on here. Ripple, that was from another transaction that I did, so that the bot didn't do Ripple, but Poet, it did. This is one of the first coins that I got into, and it didn't trade out all of it, so it left a little bit behind. That usually doesn't happen on Binance, but it happened in this particular trade for whatever reason. So, and I was kind of mad because it was actually up like 30% before the crash happened, and I couldn't sell it because there was not enough of it. But whatever. but that's what dust is. Um, so now another thing on Binance, just really quick, Binance actually has the cheapest trading fees you're probably gonna find out there, because they give you a break if you buy some of their own coin and just sit it in your exchange account. Um, then you will be able to get fees of 0.05% trading. So every trade, what happens is you get the full value of your trade, but they subtract a little bit of your BNB coin, your Binance coin, out of your account to pay for the trade. So I did that. I just bought a little bit of Binance coin, and it's just sitting in the exchange, and I set the bot to ignore it. So you don't see any Binance coin in here because it's ignoring Binance coin, because it's just sitting there only to pay for the fees. Other exchanges are like 0.15% per trade or something like that. So just keep that in mind. And I think that these values take that into account, because as soon as it gets to the break even price, it's still showing it down by like 0.2%. So I think it has that built into the fact that you're not in profit until you've paid for the actual trade both ways. So quick little tidbit right there as well. So that is an overview of the interface of Profit Trailer. Now, understand that this interface is not Profit Trailer. This is just the interface of Profit Trailer. Profit Trailer actually looks like this. I don't know if you can see that. I'll bring it down a little bit. So this right here, this is Profit Trailer. Okay, doesn't look pretty. It's a script, a JavaScript or some kind of script. I don't know what kind of script, but it's a script that runs, and you can see that if I just leave it alone for a little bit, you'll see it update every once in a while, and there'll be a new line that runs right here. This for a Mac is terminal, so it runs in terminal, and this is the Profit Trailer control. So there's a file that a few files that come with Profit Trailer when you download it, and these are what they are called. So you have the application.properties file, the configuration.properties file, pairs, DCA, and indicators. Okay, and this is how you control the bot. Yeah, see, something just came up right there about Neo. It's trying to buy some more of my coins, but I'm not letting it right now because of the market drop. I want the market to stabilize before I start trading again. But anyway, these files are how you control the bot and tell it what to do, and the rules that it has to follow in order to trade. Okay. So we'll go through these here. The application dot property. So the first thing you want to understand is you have to, I guess you don't have to, but it's highly recommended that you open these files in some sort of web editor. So this for a Mac is called Brackets. Very easy to use out of the box. You just download it. It's free. I use this for web design, but it also works for this. So when you open the file, do I have the file up somewhere that I can, let me see. Yeah. Okay. So when you open the file, it's going to look something like, it'll say Profit Trailer, and it'll have all this stuff in there right here. Okay. This stuff. So the ones that you want to pay attention to are going to be applications.properties, configuration.properties. You just want to know what this file is profittrailer.jar. You're not going to do anything with it for right now, but you just want to know what that is. And then the trading folder, and this has further files in there, and that's what it's going to look like. It's just going to look like a bunch of text files, right? So that's how, these are really how you control the trading of the bot. And this is how you control the settings of the actual bot, not the trading portion, just the settings of the bot itself, how you configure it. And then most people run this particular command. I haven't found that it works on a Mac for whatever reason. So there's a command line that you can get that I'll show you that you can just paste into terminal to get it to work. I might do that in another video, but it's easy once you know what you're doing. So let's go through these settings real quick. So in the applications properties, this is you're just gonna put this at 8081 and leave it alone. Trading exchange, you're going to type out which exchange that you're trading in. So it's either going to be Binance or Poloniex or whatever it is. Bittrex, you put that, just type it there, and you can look at the actual syntax in the wiki. It'll tell you exactly what to type. The default API key. So when you actually buy Profit Trailer, oops, not there. Sorry. This is the API key for your exchange, I think. Wait. Default API key, secret key. Yeah, so this is the API key for your exchange. So when you go onto your actual exchange, whatever it is, they're going to have a settings area where you can get a code that will allow third-party applications to access your exchange. It's called the API. And there's two different ones. You've got the regular API key and then the secret key. So if people have, this is kind of like the address to your particular account, and this is the key to open the account from the outside without having to put your username or password in. So don't share this stuff with anybody. That's why mine is blank. This is not my actual file, but this is where you will put it. And you get this from inside your exchange account when you log in. You'll be able to generate different ones, and Profit Trailer requires 2 different ones. Okay, so you just put those right in there, just copy and paste. Your server time zone, this is in UTC time where the bot is, and then you just, depending on, like, if you're East Coast, I think I put like -5 here or something like that, and then you can get your time zone. So it'll report accurate trading times. Server password, you just replace this with whatever password that you want. When you boot up Profit Trailer, the interface over here is going to ask for a password. It will be this particular password. Okay. Trading history. This is how many days that the log is going to record before it erases anything after that. And then this, if you're using Telegram to monitor your bot's trades, which I am, you put your Telegram information here. That's a whole nother ordeal. It seems simple, but it's not, because Telegram sucks. But anyway, that's what they have. So there. Configuration properties. This, you set certain exchange controls. So you can set your sell options and your buy options. So this is how the bot is going to behave when it actually places an order. So fill or kill means that the entirety of your order that you asked for is going to be filled, or it's not going to place the trade. And if that's set to true, that's what will happen. So if you ask for 100 coins and the market only has 99 coins for you, setting this to true is going to mean that either you get all of your 100 coins or you get nothing. This is probably why I have that little bit of dust in there, but whatever. Sell immediate or cancel. This means that when the bot places an order, if it doesn't immediately sell it, it's going to cancel the order and try again later or do whatever, right? I think this is where that pending log comes in, because if it's not canceling it, that means it's a pending order. So immediate or cancel means that it's going to fill or it's going to go away and come back for another day. Same thing with the buy, same options. Test mode, this means this is not like paper trading. This is, I guess, just testing to see if the bot is connected properly and gets a heartbeat maybe. I'm not really sure. Dust. So this is setting that dust log. If you have anything this number or less in the value of your coins or how many coins that you have, it's going to put it in the dust log. And that means that it won't be able to trade it because it's too low to trade. So this is kind of setting what that amount is. And this right here in gray, these are the two commands that you're going to need to start the bot. So once you go through the setup information and get your stuff running and get it, installed on your system, when you pull up terminal, these are the two commands that you're going to need. From you, it's going to be different. This is my particular file system where I have it saved. So I just kind of copied and pasted it right here. But wherever your bot is housed, you're going to need the file path to get there. So for me, this is my particular file path. For you, it's going to be different. And the wiki has set up a video that shows how to set it up on a Mac too. So that's what I use to do it. But just in case I need to get back to it, I have it pasted in this particular file so I can get back to it quickly. And then this second area, this second line right here, this is the command to actually start the bot running. So whenever I stop the bot and I want to start it back up, I just copy and paste this line into my terminal and hit enter, and then the bot starts running. This is like my start button. All right. Pairs. So this looks a lot different than what what you get when you start the bot the first time, but this is after a lot of trial and error from me. What I kind of landed on for right now, and I'm sure it's gonna evolve even more. But this is how you control what it trades, when it buys, and when it sells. So let's just go through it. You can kind of see some of the options here. It took me a while to really wrap my head around these particular options, but I really wanted to get a good understanding of this so I know exactly what the bot is doing and I can control what it's doing so it buys when I want it to buy and it sells when I want it to sell. So I spent a lot of time really understanding this portion. It was kind of frustrating, but learning is frustrating. So anyway, this right here, this is like my dump everything button. So this is pretty self-explanatory, I think, but all panic sell enabled. This means that the bot is going to sell whatever it has at whatever price that it happens to be at. It's just going to place sell orders until it gets rid of everything. So if I turn this to true and save it, that's what it's going to do. I just put this at the top just in case. You never know when you might need it. All trading enabled true. This is kind of like your on button. So if I set this to false, it's not going to buy and it's not going to sell anything. It's just going to kind of sit there and wait. This command in gray, by the way, put a hashtag in front of anything if you just want the bot to ignore whatever that is. It's like commenting it out. But this command right here means that it's going to trade all pairs on the market. That's what I had it set to at first until I refined it a little bit more. What I have now is I have explicit pairs. So I'm telling the bot, you're only going to trade these particular pairs that I specified. And this is the syntax for that. These settings are specific to my exchange. So I'm trading with my base pair is Bitcoin. And all hidden pairs, this is the pair that I do not want the bot to even see. This is my Binance coin. That I'm paying fees with. So I don't want it to trade my Binance coin away. So I set it to ignore Binance coin altogether. And I kind of did it overkill right here, but whatever, it's not seeing it. So it works. These next settings, these are my buy settings. So this setting right here, I'll probably use this when I get a larger balance. But for right now, I don't have the balance to worry about this. But all max cost, this is how much in Bitcoin of that particular coin that the bot is going to buy. So whatever the pair is, it's going to buy 0.0025 Bitcoin of that particular coin when it buys. Okay. It's the same thing here in percentage. Except it's a percent number. So once I get a larger balance, then I can switch this over to a percentage based, and it'll buy 5% of my balance, whatever that number happens to be at that time. It'll buy. That's how much it will buy of that particular pair that it's buying for the initial purchase. This is important because Binance and other exchanges have a minimum buy amount. So I think Binance's is 0.002. So if you set it too low, this is the very first mistake I made. If you set this number too low, like right at 0.2, and the coin goes down, then it's going to go into the dust log and you can't sell it. So I gave it a little bit of wiggle room right here to move around in case I needed to get rid of it or something like that. This setting right here, minimum buy balance percentage. This is the percent of my balance that the main pairs area is going to leave untouched. So once I make a purchase or a few purchases, once this balance gets to 40%, it's not going to make any more purchases in the out of the possible buy log. Okay, it's going to stop buying new pairs. All right, and there's a reason why I did that, and I'll go into that once we get to the DCA. And I set this for a percent. You can also set this for a static number. I opted for a percent in this particular one. And the reasons why I try to opt for percents and stuff like this is that once I get the bot up and running the way that I want and it's chugging along, then it's going to automatically, it's going to kind of simulate automatic reinvestment so that you can get that exponential growth component going automatically. You don't have to do anything different or change any settings because everything is percentage based. Minimum buy volume. This is the amount of Bitcoin that particular pair must have in the order book for the bot to consider trading it. This is a safety feature so that you don't, hopefully you can avoid a pump and dump coin or a low volume coin, because low volume coins are subject to wide swings with a little bit of trading. So anybody can come in there and pump it up because there's not that many coins being traded. So this is kind of like a safety feature. This is actually a pretty low number, but I have that accounted for in another area as far as what pump and dump coin, avoiding pump and dump coins, which is kind of spoken to right here. Minimum buy price. So this is the price in Bitcoin that the coin has to be trading for before the bot's going to consider buying it. If it's lower than this, then it's not going to think about buying it. This is another safety feature to avoid pump and dump coins. so that you don't get caught in those. Again, this might be a little low to some people, but again, I have that accounted for elsewhere. Max trading pairs. This is to me, this is a very important number that I learned from experience, that you want to consider. So that means the bot is not going to have any more pairs than this ongoing at the same time. So you can see that in my DCA log, I have the number 3. That is because this number is set to 3. Now, if I set this number to 4 and save it, you'll see that it detected the change right here, detected configuration changes. And once the interface picks up on it, you'll probably see the possible buy log start to fill up. Now, it's not going to buy anything because it's only in sell only mode, but that's what it does. Okay, so yeah, see the possible buy log is filled up with 21 different possibilities. And now these are the coins that it's considering buying. So we'll come back to that so we can take a look, because it's not going to buy anything right now, but that's what it looks like. All max spread. So this is going to be the spread between the bid and the ask price of that particular coin. And it comes out of the box at a 2% spread. I've actually restricted that to 1% for right now. This is another pump and dump protection to keep you out of pump and dump coins. You may want to consider widening this or shrinking it even further, but this, you just have to kind of experiment with this number to see what works for you. Buy strategy. This is very, very important. So this is the strategy that you're going to use to actually purchase your coins. So this is where, when you look on a chart, you have to set this for the particular strategy that works for you. A lot of people use EMA spread right now. A lot of people use the Bollinger Band strategy. So there's a couple different strategies out there, and I'll probably go through the different strategies in a different video, but that's what this means. This right here, once I'm in this strategy, I'm telling it, okay, at what point within this strategy do I want to actually start looking to buy? So I have mine set for 1.5% down. This is probably where I spent most of my time fiddling with this number. And this is why I kind of like profit trailer feeder, or the idea of it, because this will automatically change depending on market conditions. Different numbers work here for different market conditions, honestly, from what I've seen. So for right now, I'm kind of fiddling with it depending on what the market's doing. But this is a very, very important figure right here. And then the trailing buy number. So what this is saying is that once it hits your particular number, it's not going to buy it right away unless you set this to 0 or take this away. It's not going to buy it right away. It's going to start looking to buy it. It's going to be like, okay, that looks good. It meets all of his criteria. So let me see if it's going to drop even further. If it keeps dropping, it's not going to buy it. It's not going to buy it. It's not going to buy it until it retraces back up 0.35% from the low. That's when it's going to try to buy it. Now, something that I've noticed with the bot is that with the volatility of these coins, it could skip right over my trailing spot. So if it jumps up, let's say 0.5%, it will skip right over my 0.35 and not make the buy. So I'm still trying to figure that out. But this is what that number means. Sell strategy. So this is how I want to sell it. So I have mine simply set for when it makes a gain. And right now I've got mine set for when it makes a gain of 1.3%, start looking to sell it. All minimum profit means that I'm not going to accept less than 1%. So if it's 0.99, it's not even going to put a sell in. And I've got a trail of 0.5%. So it has to get to 1.3% for it to even consider selling it. Once it does, it'll start looking for a position to sell it. If it goes up to 5%, great. But if it goes up to 5% and it comes back down 0.5%, then it's going to go ahead and sell it. So that's what this means. Now, if it gets to 1.3% and then it goes down 0.5%, it's not going to sell it because that would be less than my minimum acceptable profit. So that's that. You play with these numbers until you find something comfortable for you. Stop loss triggers. I have mine set to 0. Basically, anytime you set to 0, it means unlimited in this particular space. So I don't have a stop loss trigger right now, but if you wanted to have stop losses, you could set these right there. This would be a percent value. So you could set this for like 5%. Once it goes down 5%, then it'll just sell it and count it as a loss. DCA enabled. So this is my trigger that says once the coin falls to this percent down, then it's going to turn the coin over to my DCA settings. So it'll be governed by those settings at that point, which we'll go into that in a minute. All sell only mode. This is to set the bot to not look at any more purchases. It's only going to sell. So it's going to turn off my buy settings and it's only going to be looking at my sell strategy to exit whatever positions that it's in once it meets those criteria. This is not the same as panic sell, which is going to sell whatever it's at right now. This is just it's just turning off the buy settings. Now, these are some safety triggers as well. It says not working on Binance, but it is actually, at least what I have set is working on Binance now with some updates, so I'll probably change that. Once Bitcoin drops below 6% for me, then it's going to go into sell only mode. And that is why it's in sell only mode right now, because it's dropped below 15%. Now, once it recovers back up 4%, then sell only mode will be turned off and I'll be back to normal again. So that's what the recovery trigger means. So if it drops by 6%, at least it's going to go into sell only mode. Once it recovers back to 4%, then it's going to turn off sell only mode. Now, this is not 4% from the bottom. This is just a flat 4%. So if it drops beyond 6% and goes to down 30%, and then it recovers to 26%, it's still going to be in sell only mode until it gets back to only down 4%. Then it's going to be back on the road right there. So these are settings I'm just now starting to look at adjusting. But that's the way I have it set right now. That's probably very, very conservative, but that's the way I have it set right now. Now, these are my coin specific settings. So I did a lot of painstaking research, not too painstaking, but I looked at each individual coin that I'm trading and I did some measurements and looked at how they trade, and I overrode my universal settings per coin. So you can kind of see it here. I'll go over it a little bit, but these are all the different pairs, and you can see that my buy value here, this is my trigger. This is where the bot is looking to buy. So when it's down 1% from where I say that it should start looking, that's when I want it to buy. Now, these numbers are different for a lot of these particular coins. That's because I went through each individual pair and looked at what I feel is a good trigger for me for that particular coin, what I like in that particular coin. Okay, so that's what that means. So each individual coin that I felt needed a special trigger outside of what the universal trigger was, that's what I have set right here. And some coins I felt needed a different trailing than the universal trail, so that's what I set right here as well. If I wanted to exclude, if I had, where is it? This right here set to all coins, and I only wanted to exclude certain coins, then I would come here and I would take away that hashtag, and it would not buy these particular coins. But since I have it set to only buy specific coins, I don't need those commands. This right here, this overrides some of my other commands. So like, for example, Pivx, I believe has a smaller volume on Binance than what my universal one was set at. So if I enable trading to true, it will purchase Pivx even though it doesn't meet my other demands. And then I've got some more settings down here. So like the minimum buy price for Steam. Steam was cheaper than my universal buy price, for example. So I set that coin specific setting for Steam. I've got my trailing and all that kind of stuff for Steam. And then Ripple has a specific setting set as well. So that's the pairs log. You'll probably spend a lot of time finagling and fiddling with stuff in here to get it the way that you want. DCA log. So this is a much shorter log, but this is what happens when you dollar cost average. So we already went through why you dollar cost average and what it means. So this is how you set it to do what you want it to do. So you enable it by just setting enabled true. And then you have your own buy settings for your dollar cost averaging. So for me, I don't have a max cost that I'm willing to pay for DCA because I've accounted for that elsewhere, namely right here. This is how many times that it's going to double up or purchase before it stops making new purchases. I've seen people have this set to 0, which means unlimited, but my pockets aren't quite that deep yet. Minimum buy balance percentage is the same as it is on the pairs log. Now, this right here is set to 0, which means it doesn't have, it's not going to leave any balance in my account. It's just going to DCA until it runs out of money. It's going to dollar cost average until it runs out of money. If you always want to have some Bitcoin set aside, then you're going to want to put a number here, whether it's 10% or whatever. Or if you want a static amount, then you just take off the percentage and put however much Bitcoin you want to leave set aside. So it's going to follow that same number in the pairs property, minimum buy balance, in addition to this. So the reason why I have in my pairs property this number set to 40% is because I want to leave some balance, some Bitcoin set aside for my dollar cost averaging. That's also accounted for in my pairs property. So I can only trade a maximum of 3 pairs, and those 3 pairs cannot put me below 40% of my Bitcoin balance. And that's set aside for dollar cost averaging purposes, because once you dollar cost average, you're going to need more and more Bitcoin to dollar cost average. So, and there's math that you can do so that you can know exactly how many times you can average. You can know how many pairs that you can trade with the balance that you have and all of that good stuff. 3 is actually too much for me as far as I don't have enough balance to dollar cost average 3 pairs 6 times, but with the pairs that I'm trading, I'm confident that I won't, and the settings that I have, I'm confident that it won't DCA that many times. But that's what that means. So if you always wanted to set some Bitcoin aside that the bot won't touch, you're going to need to set this in the pairs property and in your DCA log. Max buy spread. Again, this is the spread between the bid and the ask price of the particular coin. It's a bit wider here because I figure if it's dropping into DCA territory, it's probably moving faster, which means the spread is probably going to be wider. Trailing buy volume. So this is how much it's going to trail it before it buys. I've got a tighter trail here. I might loosen that up, but I don't know right now. Buy available volume. So this is what percentage of that particular purchase must be available in the order book before you're going to buy it. So I set mine to make sure I have 100% of that coin that I'm going to buy available to buy before you put in a purchase, because I don't want a partial purchase. I want a full purchase when I DCA. So that's what that means. That might be a little bit over your heads, but this just makes sure that if I need to buy 10 coins, then the bot is going to make sure that there's 10 coins there to buy. Otherwise, it's not going to buy. Now I can set this to 50%, and then the bot's going to say I have to have at least 5 coins there for me to make a purchase, for me to buy that. Even though I'm looking for 10 coins, it has to have at least 5. But right now I have mine set for 100%. DCA settings. So this is the strategy. The Anderson strategy, what that means is that once it buys again, it's either the Anderson or the double down strategy. I forget which is which, but basically what that means is that once it hits your first trigger, it's going to buy as much coin as you already have. So if I have, again, 10 coins sitting there that I bought in my pairs, and it drops, in this case, by 3.5% from my original buy price, then it's going to buy another 10 coins. And then if it drops another 5.5% from the average of this purchase, then it's going to buy another 20 coins. I think it is. 20 coins. So however many coins that you have, it's going to make a purchase of that amount lower. So this would be, if I have 10 coins, it's going to buy 10 coins. That means I have 20. If I have 20 coins, which I got here, then it's going to buy 20, which means I'm going to have 40. It's going to buy another 40 coins right here, which turns the total to 80. 80 coins is going to buy another 80, which is make my total 160, and so on and so forth at these particular levels. Now, I was confused about this, what this percentage means and where it's dropping from. This is not 5.5% from this number. This is 5.5% from the average price. So when we came over here to my DCA log, and I see, my DCA log, and we see average price right here. This is one that's DCA'd already. So it's going to be looking for like 5.5% down from this price, from this average price. Okay. So it's not linear, in other words. So that might be important when you're doing your measurements and stuff like that. It was important to me. So just understand that that's how it works. Right here, your sell settings. This is going to be the same as it was in the pairs log. This is just telling it when it's going to sell once DCA takes over. You can make it the same, or you can make it different as your other ones. I made this a little bit more conservative, just so I can hurry up and get out the coins faster once they DCA, because it's eating up a lot of my balance when they DCA. So I want to hurry up and get out. And then this tells you if it goes into sell only mode, is it going to ignore sell only mode and continue buying on the way down? This is a very important setting. So right now I have mine set to false, which means that when it goes into sell only mode, that it's going to obey sell only mode. It's not going to continue to double down in a falling market when it's in sell only mode. If I had this set to true, then my regular purchases would stop, but my DCA settings would still be enabled. So it would still be buying as the market fell into these coins. So if you want that setting on, that's what that means. Okay. All right. Now, another important file. It's a very, very small file, but very, very important. This is your indicators. So when you actually go to a chart, you have different indicators, and these are probably the most commonly used indicators. You have your BB, which is your Bollinger Bands, and this is your settings for what the bot sees when it's looking at a chart, Bollinger Bands. This is your moving averages. So you have simple moving average, which is SMA, and then you have exponential moving average right here. So this is how the bot is going to set up its chart that it's looking at. So I use the exponential moving averages, and I've got two of them. Okay, so you can set up more if you want, but I've got two. Now this period is in seconds, so this is looking at 900 seconds, which is 15 minutes. Okay, so you can set this to 5 minutes, 15 minutes, or longer, or whatever you want to do. And this is how many candles that it's looking back. How many candles that it's looking back. So let's go see what all that means. So if I come over here, hopefully this is going to be the Bitcoin chart. All right. All right, here we go. All right, so this is our chart. Now this is a daily chart. Let me get rid of this stuff. I don't need this. Get out of here. So this is our Bitcoin daily chart. Looks beautiful, doesn't it? Now you see that it's got a couple of lines running through. There's a bright yellow line, and then there's a more faint red line kind of running through everything. So these are our EMA lines, our exponential moving average lines, and I should have it set to the same thing. So yes, so you can see it says EMA 96, EMA 5. The red line is the 96 and the yellow line is the 5. So what this means is this red line is an average of the latest 96 candles together. Okay, so what it does is it looks at the last 96 candles, and then averages them, and then that's what the average price is. So you can kind of tell if you're trading above or below average based on the last 96 candles. Same thing for the yellow line. So this line is only looking 5 candles back. So where this line ends, that's the average price of the last 5 candles put together. Okay, so right now Bitcoin is trading below the last 96 average candles, and it's trading below the last 5 average candles. So all in all, it is trading at below average price. This is a very, very important concept when you're charting and using technical analysis. Just when you're talking about buy low and sell high, this is how you tell what's low and what's high. Is it trading above or below average? Okay, that's not the end all be all, but it's a very, very important piece in the trading, because as you can see from all of these candles, it usually likes to come back to some sort of average. It doesn't like to stay forever below average, and it doesn't like to stay forever above average. It likes to oscillate between the two at some point. So you don't want to buy high when it's above average. You want to buy low when it's below average. So that's all that the bot is really trying to capture, is what do you consider below average at a good price. Okay. You can also come in here and add Bollinger Bands if you're more of a Bollinger Band person. I'm personally not, but we can go ahead and add it in. Bollinger Bands. So that's what Bollinger Bands are, and this kind of gives you a trading lane. And I'm not as familiar with Bollinger Bands because I've never really liked to use them, but it kind of tells you whether it's trading within its particular range at that particular time, or if it's trading out of range. So we can see here currently Bitcoin is trading below the range that it's established already. And every time you have these long tails hanging out, you can see that it's popped right back up because it's just gotten too far out of range. So you could tell the bot to look at it and say, okay, if it's trading outside a certain point outside of this range, that's when I want to start looking to buy it. So the strategy that I opted for is actually not to use the Bollinger Bands, but I'm using the combination of the moving averages. Now, this is a daily chart, so I'm actually using the 900 second chart, which is the 15-minute chart. So if I go here and change to 15 minutes, this is actually what my bot is seeing. Let me get rid of the Bollinger Bands from me real quick. Okay, so this is what my bot is seeing. So I can see exactly what my bot is seeing, so I can control what my bot is trying to do. So if I were to look here, I can see when I set in my purchase strategy, where is it at? Right there. So I have my EMA gain strategy set, and I'll explain what that means right now. I have it set to buy when it's negative 1.5% below my EMA gain. Okay, so and then it's going to trail at 0.35%. So here's exactly what that means. So let's take a look at this drop, this line of drop right here. Okay. What EMA gain says is that it's going to look at the two EMA lines, the two moving average lines, and when my coin is trading below both of those lines by a certain percentage, then it's going to look to buy. So that means when it's trading below this longer average, and when it's also trading below the shorter average or the second average, when it trades below both of those together at the same time by a certain amount, go ahead and look to buy it. So I can see all of these candles right here, pretty much all of them are trading below both of those lines. Okay. Now if I go back, probably have to go back for a little while. So right here, you can see that even on these dips right here, the bot wouldn't have even looked at these because it's trading above this average line right here, even though it's below this line. But once that crosses over, let's say right here, then the bot is going to start looking at it. Okay, it's trading below the yellow line and the red line. Now it has to meet one more criteria before I start looking at it. So in my strategy, I have it set to start looking to buy when it's 1.5% below both moving averages. So if I take my cursor and I can actually measure on this chart right here, we can see when it's trading below that red line right here, that's where I started the measurement right there as soon as it crossed. And then I kept going down until I got to the bottom of that candle. We can see that distance measures about 1.16%. So this did not fall far enough to meet the criteria that I set for this bot to start looking to buy this particular coin. Now this is Bitcoin, so the altcoins can have different results, and each altcoin kind of has its own personality. But that's just an example of what the bot is looking at. Now, if it had dropped further, probably down here or something like that, then the bot would have started looking to buy it. And it would have started trailing it and stalking it. And maybe it got down here and decided to start going back up. Once it got back up 0.35%, then the bot would have made its purchase. Okay, so here's another example. Okay, so we can see we have a strong downtrend right here, and let's take a look at this candle right here. So I'm going to set my cursor right on the yellow line where the candle started, and I am going to go down to where the candle ended, which is right about there. Now this is a 2.23% drop. Now this would have met my criteria for the bot to actually make a purchase. So it would have started looking to buy right around 1.5%. So let's say right there. Okay. But it wouldn't have bought right there. It would have started looking to buy right here. So it's looking at it and it's going to stalk it. And we can see, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, so we can see that it continued to go down and it got down to as far as right here. And then it started to go back up. Now, once the bot sees that it bottomed and it went back up about 0.35%, which is about right there. So at this level right here, that's when it would have made its purchase. Okay, so now it's not perfect. Sometimes it catches it earlier. Just because it's at 0.35% doesn't mean it's going to execute right at 0.35. It might catch it right here. It could even catch it right here. But it's going to be somewhere around right here when it's going to look to buy, just depending on how the actual trading is going. So what would have happened at that point? So that's where my buy would have been. Let's just give it a little bit higher. Let's just say at the bottom of the fat part of this candle is where it bought. So it would have continued its way down from my purchase price. So I would have been looking at it and I would have been like, oh my goodness, okay, it's dropped a whole nother 1% from where I bought it, right? But then we see that it started to retrace and go back up from there. So my sell settings say that I wanted to sell with at least a 1% gain, and I want to start looking to sell once it hits 1.3%. So we know we bought at the fat part of this candle right down here. So let's see where we might have gotten out. Okay, so if I trace this up to 1.3%, that's about right there. Okay, so the bot would have started looking to started looking to sell, but it wouldn't have sold. It would have trailed it up. It would have stalked it up, and it looks like it continued to go up to about right here. Okay, so that's a gain of 2.28% from where we bought, and then now I have a trail on it of 0.5%. So let's just say, okay, it got up to that far, but now it's going to come back down, and it got down to 0.5% right here. So boom, that's where our sale would have been, okay, at 87.30, 87.30. So let's see how much profit we would have made off of that trade. So I would start at the fat part of this candle, and then I would go up to 87.30, 87.30. So that's a 1.76% gain. And how much time? So we start here. This is 7 o'clock, and then it hit our profit target at 7:45. So in less than an hour, we would have made a 1 3/4 gain on that particular trade. Now, this is exactly the behavior that I see in this bot. Okay, so now you understand exactly what it's doing and why it's doing it. Now, the reason I set these settings that way is because I want to catch a very vicious drop, a very sharp, vicious drop, a nice long candle down. So when I look at this chart, I don't want to buy on punk candles. I don't want to buy on little small candles, right? I want to buy when it's a nice big red drop down. I want to start trailing it on these long candles. So these candles are, how big are these candles? These candles are about 1.5% long, okay? Because if you notice, even if you're on a long downtrend like this, every time you catch a nice long candle down, you have some sort of a rebound. So even on this big long candle right here, if we could catch somewhere in the bottom part of this candle, you could sell it just like an hour or so later for a profit, even though you're in a larger downtrend. So this candle right here, that's another long candle that I want to try to catch and teach the bot to catch those long candles down, because you always have a rebound off of the bottom of that long candle. There's another long candle here, another long candle right here that you want to try to catch. Now, it's not perfect because sometimes you get caught in a situation like this right here where there's not enough rebound to get you out. This is where DCA comes in, because sometimes you miss the mark. So let's say I saw this big long candle and it caught it somewhere right around here. Now, there is no recovery in sight for catching a purchase right at this level. You see right here, there's nothing. There's no rebound in this area. It's a void. Now, this is how you get caught in bags. So what the power of DCA comes in right here is, let's say I bought it, but I don't catch enough of a rebound and I continue to go down. If I was just sitting there on it, I'd just be sitting on losses. But if you remember, my DCA kicks in when it goes down about 3.5%. So 3.5% for here is right around this level. This is 77.06 from this particular candle. Okay, so that means I would have made another purchase right around here. Okay, so now it wouldn't have directly purchased right here. It would have trailed it right here. So it might not have bought right here. It would have trailed it down till it got a little bit of a bounce, trying to get the best price, right? So let's just say I bought it somewhere around here again. Now, what's going to happen with the DCA, a dollar cost average, is before I would have had to get all the way up here for me to just break even and not even get a profit. Remember, I need 1% to get out at a profit, which is somewhere like around here. So what if I bought some more, if I doubled down here, instead of having for it to reach this level, now I get to split the difference. So from here to the bottom of this area right here, that's about 5.5%. So 5.5%. Now my break even goes from the top of that white square to midway down that white square. So we're gonna keep an eye and see where that white square is. And hold on, let me do it one more time. So we're starting from like right around this area. We're gonna go to the bottom ish of this area, not all the way to the bottom. You're never gonna catch all the way at the bottom, but somewhere around this area. Okay, so we can see midway between this square is 7,800. So if I bought again down here, what's going to happen is I'm going to need a break even of only about 7,800 instead of having to get into the 8,000s to make a profit. So for me, all of this area is now profit, where this would have been lost before. So I don't need as high of a rebound to get out of trouble. So let's see what happens. Okay, so we're looking for 7,800, this level right here, to get out of trouble. Let's scroll. And we're still not out of the woods yet. Still not out of the woods yet, okay? Now, this is a horrible, horrible downturn. So don't be surprised if you get caught sometimes, okay? So we needed 7,800, so it's going to continue to look for spots to buy lower, and each time it's going to cut your profit needed in half, or your break even needed in half to get to break even. So if you bought down here, it still wouldn't have got you out of trouble, but your break even would have been much lower, and you probably would have gotten out of trouble right around here in this rebound, because this rebounded quite a bit at this particular point. Now this might have, if you bought down here, might have been enough to get you out of trouble, or you still might be in trouble at this point. But that's how dollar cost averaging works. Now that's why you want to look at different markets, because in sideways markets, it's enough to get you out of trouble. So if you have a sideways market like this and you catch a nice strong downwind, and let's say you catch it too early or something, and then you buy again down here, then you only need to get up to a certain point to get you out of trouble. And that's how dollar cost averaging works. All right. And you can even look at this slide right here. This looks vaguely similar to what we're seeing right now. And then you have a massive pump right here to clean out all of your DCAs. All of your dollar cost averaging would get cleaned out with this upstroke right here, and then you'd be out of the doghouse. So we don't know. That could happen with this same slide right here. We could get a massive pump at any point to clean out all of these DCAs. All right. So that's what you're looking at with DCAs. Now that's a good long video overview of my introduction to profit trailing. You could tell that I put a lot of time and effort into understanding how this all works and how it fits together. And I'm still not 100% there, but I'm learning. And oh, let me go over the buy log really quick so we can take a look. So this is what it's considering purchasing right now. So it's looking at Ripple, it's looking at all of these different coins, and right now everything is set to false because it's at sell only mode. But what I can do is I can kind of look and see what is close to meeting my criteria. So for example, the bot seems to love this coin. It traded a ton of these coins. This DGD coin. Let me see if I can get the sales log pulled up. So you can see it just goes crazy on this coin. I mean, there was times it traded the coin in the same minute and made a profit. But let's see if I can get out of this. I want that. But yeah, it loves that particular coin. So let's look at Waves right now, for example. So Waves is showing as a negative 1% below my criteria. So if I pull up Waves right now, we can look at that live because this would be a trade that is thinking about putting on. Okay, so here's Waves. Look at that massive downturn right there. That's golden opportunity right there if we can catch it at the right time. So right now, Waves is below both moving averages, and it looks like it was about 1% down from the average, which we see that right there. So that's about a little over 1% down. So it's going to really consider it once it gets to about 1.5%. I think it saw. 1.5% down, then it would start trailing it. It wouldn't buy it immediately, but it would trail it. But you can see this live right here, how quickly the coin popped right back up from the lows. So we can see the low is right here, and let's just see if we bought it at that point. We would be up right now on that particular trade 1.5%, maybe even more, just that fast. So that's why I set it the way that it did, because once it gets to, from what I've seen, at least 1.5% to maybe even 2 to 3% away from both moving averages, it pops right back up, and at least 1% back, and that's enough to get me out of the trade very, very fast. Now these opportunities don't come along often, so it's very restrictive, but when they do, it pops right back up. You can see all of these long strings, these long thin lines hanging down. That's from when Waves got down very, very far and then just popped right back up, and they would have cleaned out my trade at that particular point. We can see it right here, even at this long line right here. We can see that was a 1.87% drop. Sorry, this line right here is a 1.87% drop. If we could have caught it somewhere in there, we could have cleaned out the trade and got a nice 1% profit just off of these long tails. And these opportunities are all over the market. And that's what Profit Trailer is looking to do, is trying to catch these long tails, or at least my setup is trying to catch these long tails and get out very fast before we have to mess with any of the DCA stuff. Now, it doesn't always work, as we saw when I just did the live example with Bitcoin, but when it does, it works beautifully. That's what it was doing when it was catching these DGD trades over here. I mean, it was just alerting me all day long, in, out, in, out, in, out, 1%, 1.23, 0.99. And if you can do enough of those trades, you can make some nice profits in a good amount of time. And especially if you have a larger balance and you can afford to have more pairs. See, I can't afford to have a lot of pairs right now. So there's people out here that have like 20 and 30 of these DCAs, but they're still trading over here because some coins got them caught and then other coins are still going. So that's what you're kind of looking at over here, is looking for those quick hit opportunities. At least that's what I'm looking for, is those quick hit opportunities that are rare, that don't come along that often, but when they do, you can get out very fast. Now you can also configure the bot if you want to do more long-term trading, if you want to do larger tradings, if you want to do more buy and hold type tradings, if you want to do swing trades, you can configure the bot to do all of that automatically for you, if you know how to do the settings. So that's pretty much a good long introduction to how Profit Trailer works and what you're looking at and some of the strategy behind it. I do plan on focusing more energy on this, and I'm going to be taking profits from the other things that I'm doing, and I'm going to be pouring it more towards this because I have control. I know exactly what's going on. I know where the money is. I know where it's housed. I can get access to it at any time. It's not locked away. It's in my control. I don't have to have it sit in a third party's account that, their website can go away at any point or go down or whatever. The only trust that I have to have is in the exchange itself. That's the point of failure. Everything else is my responsibility to set up. And they have a wonderful, wonderful Discord group, community to help you with your settings. They have people in there all the time. There's at least like 3 different communities out there that I'm a part of that will help you get your profit trailer set up. Wonderful people. There's videos galore on the subject. And I think it's good if you're somewhat technically inclined to get into this, instead of looking at the lending platforms, so that you can control and you can actually see, what goes on behind the scenes yourself. So that's where we're at. Hopefully I get better over time, and we can improve the trades, and I hope the market gives us a little rebound so that I can get out of these DCAs, and I can continue trading, and we'll go from there. So we'll see what happens. And thank you for sticking with me through this very long video. And that's it for today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Bitstream out.